This is Mark Westerberg, and this is my annual Welcome Back to School message. Today, I'm going to go through some obvious changes that we have in place. Normally, I do a goal setting for the year. Our goals are relatively simple to state, but going to be hard to do. The first one is we're going to obviously try to put out the best educational program possible. During this time, we're going to be distance learning. And so the teachers have been working really hard to provide a much better product than we've had in the past. And I believe we're going to put out a lot better product for everybody to look at. It's really important that you realize that this is a work in progress. We're going to get better as we go. But the goals are fairly simple: put out the best educational program we can. And as we get into the school year, we need to work on getting back into the school classrooms, getting on site in whatever fashion that is. Why are we distance learning? We're distance learning because California has a policy through the governor that if your county is on a watch list because of COVID cases rising, then you must distance learn. That comes directly from the county health department, and distance learning for us is something that we're going to have to just work really hard at. We know it's a burden on the parents. We know it's more difficult on the students. But at this point, it's the option we have to use. How does that change? That changes when the county comes off the health risk list, or what they call the priority list of counties where your cases are growing instead of declining. So this is kind of the shout out for wear masks, stay 6 feet apart, because that's the only way we're going to get back into session. Is we're going to have to get really serious about making sure we do all the safety protocols. When we do get back into session, it will most likely be in an A-B fashion. Part of the class one day, part of the class the other day. I highly doubt there'll be a situation where they say, oh great, all 22 students can come back to the kindergarten classroom. I think it'll be a gradual thing. Once we go back into session, it's going to be even more important on everybody to follow those safety protocols so we can continue to get into a better position. What will distance learning look like? It'll look very different at each school. I tell folks this all the time. Kindergarten is very different from calculus at the high school. We teach it differently. Everything about it is different. So what you can expect from the high school is your students will have 3 classes each day. Those classes are going to be long period of time. They're going to be 100 minutes each day. But at the end of 6 weeks, they will have completed a semester's worth of work. So every 6 weeks, there's six-week marking periods in a school year for us. So your son and daughter will have an exposure to lots of different types of classes. It also allows us, if we do come back into session, we could at some point go back into our traditional 12-week trimester. The high school would transition back into in-class session at the end of a marking period. But we have six-week marking periods. The students are going to take 3 classes a day. At the middle school, we're going to focus very heavily on math and language arts. We're going to incorporate some science into math and some social studies into language arts. But there'll be some elective choices, but the bulk of the work will be in language arts and math, because those are our areas where we need to do the most improvement, and they're also the most critical as they move from middle school to high school. So those are going to be our focus areas at middle school. Sanhedrin High School will run exclusively using packet formats, and students will get assignments, turn them in, and pick up other ones and work independently with a teacher. All of Sanhedrin High School is done through packets. There are no online classes going on there, with the one exception of a college class that is a careers class that is taught by one of the teachers at Sanhedrin. But predominantly all the work is done in what the old days we used to call correspondence or packet classes. In the other schools at Blosser teachers have been working really hard to put together a program that includes online instruction, as well as using the workbooks that go along with our math and reading series. And so there will be some hands-on things for each student to do at home. Everything's not going to be sitting in front of a computer screen. And you'll hear the terms synchronous and asynchronous. Pretty simply, synchronous means you're sitting on the computer with the teacher live interacting. Asynchronous means that you're either watching something or doing work on your own. And there'll be a combination of that. The other areas, Brookside will also have a combination of some hands-on work. It will be much less technology oriented than 3-5. In grades 3 through 5, we'll have Chromebooks, as middle school and high school all have them as well. But in grades K2, there will be much more of an emphasis on engagement with the students. We also are looking to increase our technology at the K2. It is one place where we have to go one-to-one based on our current situation, and we're looking at iPads for that. Unfortunately, just like every piece of technology, there's probably a 6 to 8 week window to get every student an iPad, even if we ordered today. Just like Chromebooks take forever now to get. They used to be very plentiful, and now they're all gone. So one of the things that you also need to know is that Sherwood is a K-8 building. At Sherwood, we have a K-1-2, a 3-5, and a 6-8 classroom. They function as a group. All three of the teachers up there are ready to go, and they're doing similar version to what goes on at Blosser and Bechtel and Brookside, except that they run their own class and their own setups. You will find that the work at Sherwood has a combination, again, of things you do at home, things you do on your own, and things you'll do with the teacher on the screen. Tech issues. It is inevitable that we're going to have some tech issues. Last week, when most schools opened, Zoom went down, and everybody in the nation experienced a problem with distance learning. One of the reasons we started a week later was to let some of those things kind of happen. We were hoping that by waiting a week, they would figure some things out, and I hope that's the case. But believe me, tech issues are inevitable. Connection issues are inevitable. It's impossible in our community to get Wi-Fi to every single student's house. There are just folks who live in a remote area where they can't get cell phone signal. And if you can't get cell phone signal, things like hotspots don't work. A hotspot only works if you have cell. If you do have cell phone signal, all cell phones now, all the smartphones can be a hotspot. You can turn on the hotspot on your phone and allow your students' laptops to hook right up to your internet access through your phone. I put a video out on our district webpage and on Facebook on how to do that, because that's one of the ways you tell if a hotspot would even work at your house before you even bought one. You would go and look and turn your phone into a hotspot and see if your students or you can connect to it with your laptop. So hotspots are very dependent on cell phone service, which is spotty at best in some of our areas. One of the things the district has done is we have gone out and purchased some equipment to make our buses Wi-Fi. And so we have 4 buses we're putting out, and we have 3 other vehicles we can also put in. We have a total of 7 we can use. And we're going to be looking for information from parents and teachers and everybody to know where to place those. It would be possible to move them around the district during the day as well. There's limited public Wi-Fi in Willits. There are places, Les Schwab, Taco Bell, Burger King, Jack in the Box, Safeway, Diggers, the public library, and Safeway, who do have public Wi-Fi. I have asked all the local businesses to open up a public Wi-Fi for people. The charter school has now opened up their Wi-Fi. And Willits Unified has always had, for the last 5 years, there's open Wi-Fi at every single site in Willits, including Sherwood. You are more than welcome to drive on campus. You don't even have to come into the building, and you'll pick up the Wi-Fi signal, and it's obviously, as taxpayers, you pay for it, it's yours to use. So Wi-Fi is a problem. One of the reasons we use Chromebooks is that your child can work at home, send out emails, type up documents, do any type of work they want on their Chromebook offline. And when they come back in to Wi-Fi, whether that's a bus, the school, whatever site it is, it will sync up their last 100 documents or last 100 activities they did. So the Chromebooks can still be very useful even though you're not online. One of the things that's important, if you have Wi-Fi issues, please contact my office and we can try and work through what our scenarios are. I'm continuing to work with Willits Online and some other local vendors to try and provide Wi-Fi access. At each school, the libraries in most of the buildings will be a site that if you wanted to come on campus and use the Wi-Fi, you could do that. Obviously, you need to wear masks. We're going to socially distance. We're going to do all those protocols we need to do to keep everybody safe. But we will have some places on campus that you can come in, sit down, and do the work. Obviously, you can always sit outside or in a vehicle by the building and get Wi-Fi. But if you want to come in, we'll provide that service for students. I want you to really focus on being patient, just like we are. This is not going to be a perfect science. There are going to be some glitches. We're going to do some things that work well and some things that don't work well. But what we are going to do is give our best effort. And so please be patient. We're going to do the best we can. Our goal is to make sure we try and keep all of our students on pace and on track. And our focus is the students, and we will work hard to make that happen. One of the things that I think is really important as a parent is make sure that you go into Aries and that your Aries is set up correctly so we have your email and cell phones. I know that often I go into Aries and try and contact a parent and the cell phone doesn't work. If you are not on Aries where the district has your cell phone and your email address, you really need to get that straightened out with your child's office. That is a way for us to be able to contact you and work with you directly. Home phone, cell phone, email, if we have those, our app, our Willits WUSD app, that is both Android and Apple, you can download that app and put it on your phone. Those are very helpful pieces of information for you to get. You can get notifications. We could text message you. We can send you email. We can send you voicemail. So the Willits app is really an important thing to have on your smartphone. Obviously, we use Facebook. I would caution you with Facebook, if it's not the district's website, if you see something that you read and you go, I can't believe they're doing this, or are they really doing this? Is it true? Is it not true? Go to the district's website or go to the district's Facebook page, not a shared, not somebody else's Facebook page. Our Facebook page is posted by me, and the things that are on it are factual information about school. So if it's important, I put it out on the district's webpage, which puts it on the app and puts it out on our district Facebook page. But be careful to look at the district's Facebook page. That's the source of information you really want to look at, as well as your building, your school sites. Your school sites, when I post something that goes to Facebook, I post it to the building that it's attached to. So if it were something pertinent to middle school, it would obviously be on Bechtel's Facebook as well. But it's important that you realize that Facebook is not always the right source. Our district app or our district sponsored Facebook are the best sources. Also, phone calls are easy. Don't hesitate to contact your child's school office. That's a source that we will answer the phone immediately and we will get to you. Notes, calls, email, let us know the best way to contact you. It's really important, and I hope that everybody stays safe. We want to keep our numbers down. We'd like our number to be 0, but that's probably not going to happen. But one of the things that's really important to remember, that if someone does feel sick, when we get back into the school mode, obviously don't come to school. That doesn't mean that a child has COVID, but imagine a school year where the goal is to not even have anybody get a cold, because anybody who gets a normal cold, you know what the assumption will be is that they have the COVID virus, which is generally not the case, but that's where we're at right now with this virus. And so it's very important that if you're ill, you need to stay home. It's also important to let the school know if your child is ill and not able to participate on online or on school. There will be some one-on-one opportunities for students who are struggling, and that's created by the teacher. It would always be one-on-one. It would never be more than one person. And in special education, our services in special education, some of those have to be done one-on-one. And so you'll be contacted by the teachers or Kelly Labus in special education for those types of activities. But they are scheduled, they're not random, they're not show-up visits. Everything at this point has to be a scheduled appointment and everybody on the same page. We'll have some protocols about picking the student up at the front of the school, going directly to the class and leaving afterwards. So we have to be very careful that we follow some strict protocols to keep everybody in place and everybody safe. One of the important things I just want to kind of end with is that if you do feel sick or you think you may have some of the symptoms of the COVID virus, it's really important to understand some protocol as adults or even for students. The first thing is that you don't call the school to tell them you have that. You don't call your doctor's office, because they're going to ask you questions and they may refer you, which they most likely will, to first call a number for county health. The county health has a number. It is 707-234-6052. 234-6052. That is kind of the COVID hotline. So if you're feeling ill or you think you may have it, you call that number and they will direct you on what to do. I encourage people to get tested. Testing's simple and easy. The lines aren't long, it's easy to do. The unfortunate thing is at this point, they're still taking a week to get back. I call them kind of peace of mind testings right now. So hopefully that will become better as we get into this. But I want everybody to be safe. I want them to know that the district and teachers, support staff, and admins have put 110% effort into getting us ready to go for the school year. I hope that we set the example of what it's like to distance learn and how to create an environment the best we can. Obviously, nothing's better than having your sons and daughters in our classroom. That's what we're hoping to have happen as soon as we safely can do it. But I hope that we have the best year we can do. This is my 40th year in education, and it is clearly my most unique, difficult, and most flexible we'll probably ever have to be. So I appreciate you listening, and I hope that we can start off well on Monday morning with our first day of school. Thank you for listening. This is Mark Westerberg.